Hey, friends far, friends near. Hope you guys are well. Last day of Brazil, heading to the US tonight. 75, 78 degrees here today. It will be 20 where I'm going tomorrow. Not excited, but I get to see my family and I'll get to see some friends. So that makes me happy. Question for you. You ever found yourself completely overwhelmed by circumstances? It could be relationships, it could be work, it could be deadlines, it could be lack of resource, but you're in this place, I don't know what to do to move on. I don't know how to move on. It could be you've gone through a very intense experience. I went through a very intense experience. I saw the brokenness in humanity. I saw extreme hypocrisy, and it left me just exhausted. Mentally, there was an intense fog. I could hardly form a complete sentence that had a follow-up to it. I was emotionally exhausted. Just to be honest with you, I would have people come to my house, and halfway through a visit, a hangout time, I would go to my room, turn the light off, and lay on my bed in the dark. My capacity had diminished. It was very, very low. I could hardly finish easy tasks. I struggled to get them done some days. So Jennifer and I go on a sabbatical. I didn't know I needed it as bad as I did. Self-awareness, everybody needs to grow in it. I've grown in it. So we're on sabbatical. So now what do we do? How do we get air back in our lungs? How do we breathe? How do we get that place where there's true joy and peace deep in our inner man, the core? How do we get that happiness back, that joy back? And so when I have found myself in these intense situations, I just go back to the simplest things I know how to do. And so Jennifer and I, we just went back to the very basics of what we know to do. And it is reading and praying the Bible together. And so we began to do that. And as what we would do as part of our everyday time before God together, we would practice gratitude. And let me just read Psalm 100, verse 4. There's 5 verses in this psalm. Verse 4, enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and bless his name. So when you come in before God, the psalmist is saying, start with thankfulness and then praise. Praise is basically declaring the strength, the beauty, the victories of God. So do it with gratitude. Next phrase, give thanks to him. What's beautiful here is the psalmist, he didn't have brain science rooting for him, backing up what he was singing. We today have brain science. What I mean by that is when you practice gratitude, they tell us that 2 hormones central to that feeling of peace and happiness get released, which is dopamine and serotonin. And these 2 hormones, they are present in people that are motivated and want to move forward. They are present when people experience pleasure. As well, they are present when there's emotional stability found in people. So when you practice gratitude, these 2 hormones are released into your brain, thus impacting your perspective and your outlook. And when you continue in this, dopamine reinforces that I want to do better. I want to adds to that place of I want to move on. I want to step forward. Serotonin, it contributes to that place of contentment and I'm going to be okay. So the psalmist is giving us a practice that now science backs up and says, if you do this practice, it is going to position you in such a way that hope, health, life is going to return. So It is easy to be so overwhelmed that any free time in your day, you're focused on the issue, trying to solve it, trying to wrestle with it, trying to understand it, getting angry at it. And this wears you out. So when I found myself being completely overwhelmed, I wanted to distance myself from the situation. And for me, I'm profoundly grateful I could take a break. And then this is a practice that Jennifer and I started to do daily. Gratitude and thankfulness, it began to shift my whole perspective. And it began to breathe, put air back in my lungs. It's going to be okay. I don't know what it's going to look like, but it's going to be okay. That is beautiful. That's what I was needing, and that is what began to come. So check this out. I'm just going to read you Ephesians chapter 2, verse 4, 5 verses. And you were dead in trespasses and sins, in which you once walked, following the course of this world, following the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that is now at work in the sons of disobedience, among whom we all once lived in the passions of our flesh, carrying out the desires of the body and the mind, were by nature children of wrath, like the rest of mankind. Paul's just telling us, I want to remind you, you were born with sinful passions and you wanted to do them. And in your desire to carry out those passions, you deserved the punishment of death. That's what Paul's telling us here. Verse 4. But God, being rich in mercy, because of the great love with which he loved us, even when we were dead in our trespasses, has made us alive together with Christ. By grace, you have been saved. So you take this gratitude, you're going to enter into being with him. You're going to enter into prayer. And you start with, I remember I was dead in my sin, but you have a love for me that is a covenant power behind it. There's a loyalty to your love. And this love, one of the outworkings of it is you merciful to me. Father, by sending your son, you did not give me what I deserved, for I deserved death. But you have given me life because of the love of Jesus. Jesus, you sacrificed your life and gave me the gift. It was a grace gift that was given for I will never die. I could never win it, own it, possess it, yet it was a gift that you've freely given. I say thank you for that. When we posture ourselves with gratitude that is truth, it shifts us. Things happen to inside of our, as we just mentioned, things happen in our chemistry that even causes us to have a different perspective, to have this place of hope. And then it's just simple things. One of the things today I am grateful for, my wife is my best friend. I am so thankful for that. Today, I have food I'm going to eat in about an hour. I'm going to have food today. You just practice gratitude, and it will shift you out of that being overwhelmed state. Now, I'm not saying the problems will go away. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about here is how I view the problems I'm interacting with. Thus, I have a different perspective now on the problems that were absolutely overwhelming me, and I didn't know how to move forward. Today, I'm moving forward. And this is what I want to invite you into. Moving forward. I'm not saying ignoring it. I'm not saying not dealing with it. But as I have practiced gratitude, it has moved me forward. and gotten me out of that pit that I did not know how I would get out of. Some days I really am still somewhat overwhelmed. Other days, no. But on both days, I practice gratitude, thankful. Much grace, guys. God bless. We'll see you next.